Ooh.
We'll go quick. Move it fast.
Good afternoon. We want to thank you for coming to Horseheads Central School District in honor of welcoming Senator Gillibrand to the area, as well as talking about the Full Service Community School Expansion Act of 2020. And this act is something that will certainly assist the area, but most importantly during these times of COVID-19, help all of our families meet the needs as well as work to help them throughout their particular situations. So at this time, I'd like to present to you our Senator, Kristen Gillibrand.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. Appreciate you. Thanks to everyone here. Thank you all for coming out today. I'm sorry it's a bit chilly. Want to recognize our superintendent for speaking, as well as the Center Street Elementary School for hosting. And I also want to thank Superintendent of the Greater Southern Tier, BOCES, Jim Frame, who's going to join us and speak in a moment. This past year has been really hard on students and our communities, on families, and it's been particularly tough on students and their families because they're dealing with the trauma of an economic and food collapse, as well as social isolation, illness, and death. And that has been especially true for low-income families, communities of color, and those hit hardest by this pandemic because of long-standing inequities that COVID has magnified. For students dealing with even one of those challenges, it's hard, but if you're dealing with more than one, it has a devastating impact. A national survey found that 1 in 3 junior high school and high school students are reported feeling depressed, unhappy, disconnected from their parents, their teachers, their peers, worried about their basic needs and whether they'll be met. Education experts predict that COVID will lead to learning loss in math and reading, especially for students who are already behind. If we don't take action to help these students right away, we will see a widening gap in education achievement. Education is often seen as the great equalizer, but that's only true if every student has the ability to learn and succeed. The good news is there's a proven model to help students get the in-school and out-of-school support they need to thrive: community schools. Community schools take a wraparound approach that helps provide students, their families, and local communities with the services, supports, and stability that they need for educational success. They offer students expanded learning opportunities before, during, and after school, as well as on weekends and over the summer to provide individualized support and enrichment. They introduce students to new opportunities in arts, STEM, and other technical careers, and they make sure that kids have the nutritious food they need so they have the energy and the focus to do well in school. These schools also recognize that the student's life outside of the classroom also plays a major role in their success in the classroom. These schools partner with community-based organizations to address issues at home by providing assistance with housing, transportation, nutrition, immigration, and criminal justice issues. They also work to connect students with medical, dental, vision services, as well as mental health services. These schools become hubs for community services for their students, their families, and the surrounding neighborhood residents. Right now, their help is more needed than ever, and they need more resources to provide it. I pushed for the American Rescue Plan to include funding to help schools maintain education equity and keep students connected to distance learning, as well as the expansion and extension of the PEBT program to help the kids be fed through the summer. Those resources will help the community schools meet this moment, but we still need to set them up for longer-term success. That's why I've introduced the Full Service Community School Expansion Act of 2021. This bill would invest $3.65 billion into the Full Service Community School Grant Program over the next 5 years so that schools and districts can implement and expand community schools and continue to meet the growing needs of these communities. It would also provide a renewable grant program for these schools to fund the establishment of state-level teams providing professional development for community school staff and set aside funds for technical assistance. This pandemic has only deepened the challenges educators in school and staff have been facing while trying to provide quality education and holistic care for the most vulnerable students. And it's reminded all of us that children get so much more out of education at school. Making these investments in community schools will help us build a brighter future for our children and our state, and I will keep fighting to get the resources we need. Now we're going to hear from Jim Frame, our Superintendent of Greater Southern Tier BOCES.
Thank you, Senator. We know that schools are the center of our communities. Over the past year, that has dramatically changed. So schools have gone so far out of the norm to take care of things like food insecurity and to partner with childcare and to help parents through the social emotional learning troubles that their students have experienced. I'm very lucky to work with 21 colleague superintendents across the greater southern tier who have done an exceptional job supporting their students, their families, and their individual communities. We're very appreciative of Senator Gillibrand's actions because they help us integrate our strengths to serve the community. We know we do it. We've schools for years and years and years have met every one of the needs that students and families have. We hope that with this integration, we can be more thoughtful about our practice and we can be known as the place to go for families that need help. You're in the center right now in the southern tier of some of the most innovative community schools programs that exist in New York State. My colleagues, Hillary Austin and Mike Gill from Elmira and Mara Heights, respectively. Elmira is known statewide for its community schools program, which has been just amazing. You're also in the home of social emotional learning. Greater Southern Tier BOCES leads the state work on supporting students through this difficult time. There's plenty of work to do. We need all the help we can get, but we are especially appreciative when people understand our plight, and we know that Senator Gillibrand does, and we're very, very appreciative of her work. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. So we're happy to take on-topic questions first for any of us. Any on-topics? This just authorizes more resources, so it authorizes it for 5 years at $500 million for years 1, 2, $750 for years 3, 4, and $1 billion for the 5th year. And so it just is an augmentation of what already has been done. We already have about, let's see how many set up. We have 3 regions already set up, and in the central western region it includes 23 schools. And it's just something that's been working very effectively over the last several years that's been in place. One of the most effective ways to spend money for our students. And for every dollar you put in, you get $15 out in terms of productivity and benefit. So let's finish on topics. Any more on topics before we, and any for our experts? We've got experts. No? Okay, go ahead.
Regarding the governor, you've been such a strong proponent of why did you not come out and call for judgment earlier compared to when Senator Franklin had very similar allegations?
Well, in this instance, I think confronting and overcoming the COVID crisis requires focused, steady leadership. And I believe that the women who have come forward have been very brave and courageous with serious allegations of abuse and misconduct. And because of these multiple credible allegations and the fact that the governor has really lost the confidence of a lot of his governing partners, I thought it was important to call on him now to resign. But every one of these cases is different. I think the case concerning Senator Franken was in the Senate, and it was 8 allegations of sexual misconduct. And it was several weeks before myself and several other, most of the Democratic senators called on his resignation.
And also, here locally in Montrose Falls, there's a firefighter whose daughter passed away. Can you comment on that? Do you have any details of that?
I don't know the details of that, but I will look into it and give you further comments. Other questions? So we're hoping that this bill, this augmentation of funds, can be in the next COVID relief package. That package is supposed to be about infrastructure, and that means the infrastructure of rebuilding roads, bridges, sewers, building back locally, but also infrastructure of schools, of community health centers, of the entire infrastructure of rebuilding the economy. And so I'm hoping it can get in the next bill, which is the next month or two, so that it can be ready for the next school year. don't you speak to that, Jim, a little bit about what's been done here locally in the past and what you'd hope to do in the future?
Right. So what we hope is that these funds make programs more sustainable and we can grow them because we have needs like we've never had before. So we'd like to expand program to do, everyone knows that we'll need more mental health work, we'll need more medical work, pre-K is important, all of those things because we're overcoming some tremendous gaps. So we'll take every resource we can to help the students of the area.
I suspect many regions in the state will use these resources for summer school programs, for after school programs, even before school programs. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and so there's going to be urgent need to make sure that they have the ability to get back to work, and so we'll want more programs to meet children's needs, to meet the loss that they experienced over the last year. So I think our teachers and our leaders are going to be very eager to figure out what our students need and meet those needs, and also what the families need, because this is holistic support. It's 360-degree support for the student, the student's family, and the community. So whatever we find the needs are, we'll meet them. And the nice thing about this program, there's always a needs assessment before money's spent. So you do a quick deep dive on what does the region need right now, and then that's where the money gets spent. So it's very effective. Go ahead.
If I can add also, this act helps in regards to not all schools in New York State get community school funding. Like for Horseheads, we do not receive any. It's not that we don't need it, it's just we would not meet the qualifications according to this administration in New York State's parameters. So this gives us another avenue. What's really nice about this bill is normally it's districts' wealth or free and reduced population that would be the inhibitor for a district like Horseheads. But this bill allows it to go specifically school by school. That's one of the reasons why we're here at Center Street. This school would qualify, which would be one of our first schools in this area. And all of our other local schools have different situations that exist. So this brings a new funding possibility for all schools, especially upstate.
Senator, real quick, with the American Rescue Plan, when we received the funding from the municipalities,
Yep.
the villages such as Horseheads were not listed in there. Can you explain why?
So the way it's supposed to work is certain amounts of money were given directly to the state, and then certain amount of monies were given to the counties and the cities. It was based on population. So if the county received money, the locality wouldn't necessarily receive money. So it's supposed to go to the most immediate place where funds can be spent. And so it should be county by county unless your city's of a certain size, and then it would go to a city.
None of the villages were listed. Washington Glen.
Yeah, it wouldn't go to a village, it would go to a county, and then the county would get it to the villages. Any other questions?
I'll ask one more. So this is about the students, right? And I think the pandemic has affected a lot of families, single-parent homes that have to work and raise their kids. So how would this bring them back on track? Because I know there's a lot of kids that probably felt behind.
Yeah, so I think this, every school system is going to be different. But knowing the challenges I've experienced with my own children, I'd imagine a lot of schools would choose after-school care, after-school work, so summer school, anything where if children are behind in math and reading, they could have either Big Brothers Big Sisters programs, tutors, but just basically supplemental learning opportunities, but also supplemental social opportunities. I mean, I can tell you my children have been so dislocated and so affected because they couldn't spend time with their peers. Soccer programs are canceled. Ability to play with other children are canceled. Like all the things that canceled. So all the things that a child would do to help socialize them have been canceled. And someone mentioned daycare as well for early childhood education. Our daycare centers have gone out of business all across the state. There used to be one spot for every 4 kids. Now there's one spot for every 8 kids. And so all that early childhood learning's been lost. So I think there'll be a eagerness to supplement the existing learning with outside learning because they've missed so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for